Welcome to the Business Finance Bulletin, episode 119. Welcome again to this week's Business Finance Bulletin with me, Rob Warlow from Business Loan Services. In this week's bulletin, fear of debt by UK business owners, a review of the Enterprise Finance Guarantee Scheme, late payment and a new app being launched by Nat West for its small business customers. And in my business finance tip of the week, a question you should ask of yourself before you go and see the bank. Are you one of the UK's many business owners who are too afraid or too risk averse to take on new debt? Well, in a recent survey carried out by Wesleyan Bank of 500 UK small business owners, 78% of them said just that. They are too risk averse when it comes to taking on new debt. Now, I guess we can all understand why. After the credit crunch and the recession, your memories and scars run deep, and many business owners are too concerned about taking on new debt. But here's the thing. Obviously, it stifles investment and it holds the UK economy back. So there has to come a point when the shackles are free and you must realise that there is a difference between good debt and bad debt. As we know, good debt helps you grow your business, promotes investment, and that's what bankers are looking for. Bad debt, well, as I mentioned before, that's kind of get me out of jail money. It doesn't move your business forward. It helps you stay where you are and may get you out of trouble, but it doesn't help you grow. So just make sure you're not one of those businesses who are too risk averse, and make sure that you've got a good, solid plan for growth. Now, what else does this survey reveal? Well, click on sources of finance, and it links back to a survey I reported in the previous bulletin, episode 118. Now, in this survey, they found out that the top source of finance was business owners' own savings. Yes, 55% of them say they tap into their own savings to finance business. Next up, 38% of them use overdrafts and credit cards, and 31% of business owners are using business loans. Now, one source of finance we've touched upon quite regularly is that of equity, selling shares in your business in order to access growth finance. Perhaps not surprisingly, the survey found that 86% of UK business owners have no interest in selling shares in their business. They would rather retain control. Now, I know there are really good instances when fresh equity in a business can be worthwhile in pursuing. What would you rather have? 80% of a pie really small, or say 50% of an extremely large pie, which is that what you may have if you use funding correctly by selling equity in your business. Well, some great findings from that survey there. I say, don't be too risk averse when it comes to taking on new debt. Put a good solid plan together and that will see you right. When it comes to giving loans and overdrafts, one key question a bank will ask is, what security do you have to give me? Now, if you haven't got any security, in some cases, that can be enough of a reason for the bank to say no. Now, as I mentioned in previous bulletins, there is a scheme called the Enterprise Finance Guarantee Scheme, whereby the government gives a guarantee to the bank to help them say yes. Now, this scheme is run by the British Business Bank, which is a government-run organisation and is home to all of the government's access to finance schemes. Well, the British Business Bank has just carried out a review on effectiveness of the EFG programme, and it's come up with a number of recommendations. First of all, it said that the scheme is doing its job. It's got great success stories, but naturally there are some things that they recommend should be changed. First of all, they want to see an increase in the number of banks who are on the EFG panel, i.e. the number of lenders should go up who can offer EFG. Secondly, they also want us to look at explore the option of coming out with a hybrid version for asset finance. They also want to relook at the whole process. Can be a bit clunky at times. They want to see what they can do to speed up the whole process. And the last recommendation, which I think probably is the best one, is that they want to increase awareness amongst small business owners of the existence of the EFG scheme. When we're out there raising finance for many businesses, the vast majority aren't really aware of the scheme and what it does, and so they don't ask the bank, and an opportunity is missed. So let's see what changes as a result of that bank review, and hopefully it'll be changes for the better. If you want to know more about the EFG scheme, just drop us a line, info@businessloanservices.co.uk, and we'd happily have a chat with you to see if you're eligible. Moving on now to one of our regular topics that we feature on the Business Finance Bulletin, and that's late payment. Now, as we know, particularly where small businesses are concerned, late payment is a major barrier to growth. Growth needs cash, and if your cash is tied up, well, you get no growth or slow growth. Now, small businesses are carrying a disproportionate amount of the burden. That's according to a new survey just been released by the Asset-Based Finance Association. That association is an umbrella organisation for all of the UK's asset-based lenders. In this survey, they found out that on average, UK small business owners are waiting 67 days in which to be paid. Their larger counterparts are only waiting on average 38 days. So you can see that's a large gap. And of course, the larger businesses have the resources to carry late payment, whereas small business owners don't. So if you are caught in the late payment trap, what can you do? Well, just remember, make sure your terms and conditions are very clear on your invoice, have a clear process in place for chasing invoices, and if you do suffer from late payment, outsource it, get someone else to do it as quick as you can to make sure that the cash sits in your bank account and not your customer's bank account. Don't fall a victim to late payment. It can hold back your business. In my last two bulletins, episode 118 and episode 117, I shared news there about new platforms being launched by Santander and HSBC focused on helping their small business customers through the process of borrowing money via using new technology, essentially taking a leaf out of the book of the crowdfunding platform sites. Well, here I am again in the third consecutive episode with news about NatWest doing something similar. NatWest have just announced the launch of a new iPad app where their small business owners can get lending quotes and help with the whole process of borrowing money to make it quicker, simpler and easier. So another bank there starting to use technology like the crowdfunding platforms are to make the whole lending process easier. NatWest have also announced that they've scrapped setup fees and early repayment fees on loans below £500,000. So another example here of a UK bank really starting to focus on helping UK small businesses. So the doors are now well and truly open. So when it comes to raising finance, don't dismiss your bank. Have a look first to see what they can do for you. On now to my business finance tip of the week. Here's something to think about. Before you go to the bank for finance, ask yourself a question. Would I lend myself the money? So just imagine you've got a pile of £50,000 sat in the corner of your room waving at you, use me, use me, use me. And just think, if you were the bank, would you lend yourself money? Take a long, hard look at the way your bank account has operated. Are there some examples of checks being bounced or other late payments? Are your sales declining? Are your profits declining? So just take a long, hard look. And sometimes asking yourself that question, would I lend myself the money? Can sometimes be a bit of a wake-up call to think, no, do you know what? I probably wouldn't. Something needs to change. So just take that step back and ask that question. It can be a very powerful way to sense check how strong your potential lending application is going to be. Well, that's it for this week, and as ever, I hope you enjoyed the bulletin. If you did, please give it a like, please give it a share. It all helps. Don't forget, if you're watching on the video version, there is the podcast version available on iTunes, Stitcher, and also SoundCloud. All you have to do, go along to those sites and search for Business Finance Bulletin. And of course, if you're listening on the podcast version, just go along to our YouTube channel, just search for Rob Warlow, and there you'll find this episode and all past episodes of this bulletin. So that's it for this week. Thanks very much for being with me. Look forward to being with you again next week. Have a great, successful and profitable week. Bye-bye now.